am Grace Simon. I'm here with Tracy Combites, and this is my podcast, Simon Says, Let's Talk Real Estate. Hi, Tracy. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hi, thank you for inviting me, Grace. I'm excited.
I am excited to have you today. Tracy brings us a wealth of knowledge. Her wealth of knowledge is extended to not just one certain market, but is extended across the western part of Canada. Tracy Combites is a high producing agent, and she's worked in a variety of markets in Alberta and British Columbia. And now we have the great privilege and honor of having her come and be activated in Ontario. So this is exciting, Tracy. I am so excited to have you here with us on my podcast today. But also Tracy's going to be working along with me, and I'm so looking forward to learning from her and engaging with her and us engaging each other and being brilliant, really.
I'm so lucky. I know we're gonna do amazing things together. So I'm really excited, and I'm very happy to be home. Ontario's home for me, so I'm really happy to be home.
Now, Tracy, you are a luxury agent. You deal specifically in the luxury market.
Predominantly, yes.
So fascinating. So we're going to talk about luxury. We're going to talk about different demographics. We're going to talk about different cultural differences. And, people wouldn't think about it, but there are cultural differences in Canada. And I mean, not just because we're a diverse country made up of many different cultures and people from different nations, but it's like from province to province, the nature of Canadians are different.
Well, I've been told multiple times I have a Western Canadian accent, so if that tells you anything, that even the way we speak or people speak from province to province, it varies. And I've been back in Ontario for a few years now, and I still experience people say to me, what does that mean? Because we have such different lingo out there. So yes, you're absolutely right. It's amazing how much it varies from province to province. People, everything, language, yeah.
So I don't know I can hear the difference in people's accents out east, but because I lived in Alberta for 8 years myself, and I'm married to an Albertan, my firstborn is an Albertan, I don't hear the accent, but that's really, really interesting. But I do know from moving from Ontario to Alberta, big cultural difference.
Yes.
Wow. It's amazing. So you have been a realtor for how many years?
I was licensed in 2003 in Calgary. That was when I first started selling real estate. Actually, that's not true. I first started selling real estate in London, England. And I shouldn't say selling real estate, but I did the lettings. So when you go to let a flat, rent a flat, you used to go through, or still do, an estate agent. And that's what I did. So that was when I was about 22 years old, 21 years old. So that's really technically when I started to dip my toe into the real estate pool.
Okay, so explain a little bit more of that. You were 22 years old and you were an estate agent?
No, I was living in London, England. I went over with a friend of mine because I'm an adventurous risk taker. And a friend of mine who was from there said she was moving back, and did I want to come along with her, and she could get me a job with a friend of hers who owned this estate agency. And so that's what happened. I just said, sure. I had no kids, I had no ties, and I picked up, and I was from Ontario. I was living in Ontario at the time. And I went out there. So it was fun.
Wow.
It was a good experience. And I can tell you as a realtor, and all you realtors out there will know what I'm talking about, it is the only time I've ever shown places on a subway. They call it the tube there. I didn't have a vehicle over there, and I still went and showed all these houses. So I've had a really diverse background when it comes to real estate.
No kidding. I didn't even know that about you, Tracy, that you worked in London, England. That is incredible. Taking the tube, which is fascinating. I've been to England as well, and I love riding the tube. You can get anywhere and everywhere on their systems. But going and showing properties that way, well, you don't really need, it's a safer way of traveling there anyhow. But
you couldn't find parking if you tried there anyway.
No,
so it was the way to do it. But anyway, it again, just one more facet to my career that was very diverse and different, and
So is that how, is that what sparked you for getting into real estate?
No. I mean,
Oh.
I enjoyed it. I was really young and I enjoyed my time there and doing what I did. But then I came back to Ontario and my mom and dad said that they were moving to Alberta. So having no ties and in all honesty, no money at that point, because I was pretty young and London was very expensive. I decided to tag along and I was going to go on to BC because I said at the time, what's Calgary? Nobody knows. Nobody. What's in Calgary? It's like a farm town or something. That's what I thought. Little did I know when I got there, it's this thriving metropolis that, you know, I obviously fell in love with a little bit because I ended up getting married and having a couple kids there. And so fast forward about 5 years after being in Calgary, and my oldest daughter, who's now 22, was in preschool with Kim Hayden's son. And Kim Hayden and I used to chat at preschool, and she's the one who said, you would be fantastic at selling real estate. You need to come and sell with us. And the rest is history. That was in 2003.
And that was with Royal LePage, right? You were a Royal
LePage,
LePage agent at that time?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you started out on a team.
I did, yes. I was with them for about a year. They were very much in the area that I lived in, which I wasn't as crazy about. And that's another interesting, you know, thing about real estate is that they say we should be in our farm areas, but I didn't like it. I like the anonymity a little bit. So I started venturing a little bit more outside of that. And then as a result, got connected with the #1 Royal LePage realtor in Alberta. And that was where I worked for a lot of my career. So he taught me pretty much everything I know.
Wow, that's so
bad and good habits.
Sorry, good, bad and good.
Yeah.
Well, it caused you to be a high producing agent. So
Yeah.
like that, obviously, it was an amazing experience. You take the good and the bad with whatever you're learning, right? And
Yes.
and you have the ability to put in and throw away the stuff that you don't need that shouldn't be there. So out of the gate, you were high producing agents
Yes.
immediately in your first year. How many transactions did you close your first year?
I don't know if I'm going to be able to give you an accurate number about transactions, but what I do know, and I've told you this story, is my chart and the dollar amount, and I had a dollar amount in my head. And a lot of people told me that I was being a little too ambitious and don't set myself up, you know, for failure, because for a brand new agent to be making that, and I came within $4,000 of it that year. So
yeah, that was amazing. You're just very incredible, right? At the time, it was many years ago, and so yeah, you wanted to make 100 grand, right? Was it 100 grand?
Yeah, and it took a lot more to get there than it does now, because the prices in Calgary, the average price for home in Calgary at that time was about 200,000, maybe 250 at most, and 250 was getting up there. And you know, and our commissions are much lower out there too. So
and you were on a team, so you were.
Well, I was also giving 50% back.
That's right.
Yes.
That's remarkable. Like, how amazing, Tracy. Like, this was just something that you were made to do. When somebody comes out of the gate and lights up the sky, when people say, you might not want to go that high, you may not want to shoot that high, and you're like, I'll show you.
Well, that makes me want to do it more.
Yeah, you're a driver, and that's what really it takes for all of you, my friend agents that are just starting out, or or in the middle of your career, or at the end of your career. Like, that's what makes you who you are, as amazing as you are, is because of that drive. When somebody says you can't or you shouldn't, you're like, yeah, you watch me, and you go after it. So that is phenomenal. So did you always work in the luxury market?
No.
How did you do that?
I very much just fell into it. When I would say my first probably 3 or 4 years in real estate, keep in mind I was on a team, and typically the team leader would take the luxury stuff. So the first 3 or 4 years I was doing average priced homes, some of them a little bit bigger at times. I shouldn't say that. I should say my first 2 years, because in 2005, anyone who knows Calgary, or what was happening many moons ago in Calgary, when everybody moved their head office from Toronto to Calgary, this realtor I worked with, who was the #1 Royal LePage realtor, got a lot of those referrals. And so that's when things really started to change for me a little bit, because we had no choice but to knock everything out of the park. And what was really great is all these guys coming from Toronto, I could connect with them very well because, like you said, it's very much culture shock when you go from here to out west. So I really excelled with all of those guys, and a lot of them just kept going. You know, the house prices in Toronto were very high, so they were spending more money in Calgary, and that was
Wow.
before the boom. So that's really how I initially got into it. And then the more stuff I started doing, the more people I started meeting. If we had a listing that was over $1 million, I would show it if there were sign calls on it, because I just mesh well with the clientele. So
Success finds you, my dear.
well, thank you.
Success finds you. Look at your history. Like, success finds you, which is amazing. You think of success, you dream about success, and success finds you. So of course you're a very hard worker, and you are definitely resilient through all the different times of your life. And so success will always continue to find you. It's pretty remarkable. So you sold real estate for how long in Calgary before going to British Columbia?
13 years.
13 years. Okay. And so then you're moving along to BC.
Yeah, so the market in Calgary, as everybody I'm sure knows, is very volatile because it's very much dependent on oil and gas. And so I had went through that cycle multiple times, especially with the world economic crash in 2008. And I got a little tired of it. And so I had this opportunity in British Columbia, in Kelowna, to go work with, again, the #1 RE/MAX team there. And I jumped on it because the luxury market was really suffering in Calgary, and the planets could not have aligned better for me at that time. So yeah,
wow. You not only went change provinces,
time.
you changed brokerages. You went from I'm a next Royal LePage.
So I was with RE/MAX in Calgary at that point, though.
Oh, you were with RE/MAX in Calgary at that point. Oh, okay. Sorry, missed that part. I was going to say, oh, you changed from Royal LePage to RE/MAX.
No,
that's a faux pas, but okay. So you had already done that.
I did, yeah. And so it was, I mean, very much a cultural difference as well between Alberta and BC. And, you know, there was a lot for me to learn. I'm this veteran agent that has all kinds of experience because of the amount of volume that I've done. But, you know, I went to BC and felt like I was a brand new agent, much like I'm feeling here. I'm not a brand new agent because I have, yes, a lot of knowledge, but I think you have to view it as such, because otherwise you're not going to learn everything there is to know about the areas that you're selling in, right?
Okay, so this is where we're going into the shift of change, and how did you do that? Because that's a major shift of change, going from Alberta, that is slower pace country. The pricing is quite low compared to the other provinces like Ontario and British Columbia, and the people are different. Like the culture different is very, very different. So where were you in BC, in British Columbia?
I was in Kelowna. That was
in Kelowna. Okay, so it's small town. I love Kelowna.
Yes.
So tell me the differences between Calgary, serving in Calgary, and serving in Kelowna. What were the major differences for you?
Well, Calgary is 1.2 million people. Kelowna is 160,000. So there's the first difference. And that was a lot to adjust to. I'm very much a big city girl. I like big cities. And but, you know, the biggest thing, and I've given this a lot of thought over the last 48 hours prior to this, that I think is you have to figure out what's driving that market. And so in Calgary, it's oil and gas. You have a lot of transient people, a lot of relocations. You know, they're not going to be there for a long period of time. Kelowna, what's driving that market is people who want to retire there, people who want to be there, people actually want to be there. Whereas in Calgary, I found a lot of times they had to be there. So
interesting.
Those are two very different drivers for sure, which definitely changes the way you deal with your clients. So
did you have to tone yourself down then, from dial yourself down?
Yes. In fact, I was told at my brokerage, and it was kind of a joke at first, because when I first got there, and I got there in May, it was mid-May. And if you've been to Kelowna, mid-May, it starts getting really hot and it doesn't cool down until September, October. So I would show up at the office in these suits and, you know, looking all professional, because that's what we did in Calgary. Of course, you're a big city. It's not as warm. And all these other realtors are walking in with flip-flops and shorts, and they just kind of laugh at me and say, you'll figure it out at some point. So what I found is that when I was meeting clients, it was too much. I was too dressed up. I was too, so again, know your audience and know what you're working with. And the more laid back approach, because Kelowna is so laid back. Kelowna is where people want to go and retire. They don't need someone showing up in a 3-piece suit. So.
Okay, but you thrived in Kelowna.
I
You rose
did.
up and became an exceller in Kelowna. So how did you do that? Having going
I
from
worked with two
the
wonderful ladies. I worked with
okay,
a couple of ladies that have a really strong, wonderful team. And so I made the decision when I had that opportunity presented to me that if I was going to go into another province at that point in my career, I would definitely want to team up with someone else so that I had all the experience that they had as well. So,
smart. It's so smart.
uh,
You didn't want to be the new fish
no,
in the fish
no.
bowl. You wanted to make sure that you went where where the school was swimming, right? Where they were
Right,
collecting
yes. Well, and my
fish.
biggest thing too, and this is why I went to go work with the realtor in Calgary I worked with for many years. If I want to be the best, I better go learn from the best. And so that's always been my attitude with teams. Now I'm no longer, of that mindset anymore because I've gained all of the knowledge and experience that I think I need now to be able to build my own team, which has taken me 15 years, 17 years to get to that point. But
Beautiful.
it's the
You're
time is right.
perfect.
It's good.
Yeah, it's
So,
perfect.
but that I attribute a lot of my success in Kelowna to them for sure, because I learned so much from them in such a short amount of time. And that's the only advice I can give, is that if you are embarking on anything, a new career, or, you're changing provinces, cities, especially if you're in real estate, you go align yourself with some of the best people and you will be, light years ahead of, as opposed to doing it on your own.
I believe it's really important to share knowledge. When you have knowledge, to give knowledge freely. Freely you have received, and it's so important to freely give. So for our listeners, Tracy, that could possibly be moving to Calgary or moving to Kelowna, what would be a nugget that you could give to somebody other than find the best of the best and connect with them? But even more so, or get personal, give them a nugget of you're moving into the Calgary market. This is something I'm just going to give you, like something really, really good for you to understand about Calgary, or what is a really good nugget to give to somebody if they were moving to Kelowna. So let's first off, what is that nugget of value that you could give to somebody if they were moving into the Calgary market?
Into the Calgary market, I would say that you have to always be very prepared for the volatility of that market. And I think that the more prepared you are for it, the better you do when it goes up and down. And a lot of markets do, but Calgary's is really pronounced because of course it's very dependent on oil and gas. Calgary is also very much about connections as well. And so it's a 1.2 million people, but it's very much a small city feel. So, for you to align yourself with, again, some of the best of the best, and I'm not talking about just realtors, your mortgage brokers, your home inspectors, it's all about relationships in Calgary. And I think that if you don't have that, you're not going to do very well.
Excellent. And what about going to BC, to the lovely Kelowna? What is a nugget that you can give to a listener that could be thinking about doing real estate in Kelowna, BC, or is starting their real estate career?
There's enough to go around in Kelowna. That's really the best thing I can say. And I know a lot of agents out there don't believe so because it is smaller, but it's I think that way in any market, but there is a lot to go around in Kelowna. And I think that it's a tougher market to break into because it is smaller. The smaller the city, the tougher it is to break into that market. That's what I have always found, because you have the people that have been there their whole lives. You have, oh, you just moved here, you don't know much about the city. So that would be my greatest advice about Kelowna, is making sure that you somehow in your marketing or, whatever it is you're doing, let people know that I may be new here, but I've aligned myself with these people, or whatever it is you're doing to have that knowledge of the city, because a lot of people have been there their whole lives and you're going to have to be fighting against that. And I found that very much so. It's not a difficult thing to break through, but you have to be aware of it for sure.
It's a very transient community as well, right? You get a lot, like it's grown. Kelowna has grown so much.
Yeah.
You have a lot of people moving in. So did you find that it's not necessarily the business that has been there forever, but it's also attracting the newcomers or the people
Of
that are
course.
looking to retire. So a lot of your
Yeah.
referrals need to be beyond Kelowna. Was that something that you agree
Yes, yes, absolutely. And you know, if you have an arsenal of agents that you already know in another market, and you move to a place like Kelowna and you have a good relationship with these other agents, chances are you are going to get a lot of referrals, because there's always going to be people that want to go retire in the Okanagan. So that would be my other great piece of advice is referrals, referrals, referrals. If you're going to any kind of a resort place, big cities are different, but definitely these, you know, retirement resort kind of places where, you know, people want a vacation or retire, you get your referral on, because every agent that you know is probably at some point going to know someone that knows someone or wants to move there. It's, you know, so I think that breaking into a market like that is that's probably the easiest way to do it.
Tracy, you are so inspiring, and thank you so much for giving that information to whoever is listening out there. Hopefully, if they're writing it down and you know, dreaming and visioning what their business could look like, going to either Calgary or Kelowna. And so now we get the joy of experiencing you back into your hometown and back into your home province, that is, and working the market in Ontario many years later. But it's pretty exciting, and I know that you are pretty excited to jump in and embrace it.
I am, and I'm excited to, I've been watching what other agents in Ontario are doing, and there's a lot of different things that are done out west that I'm excited to bring into the Ontario market. It's, you know, it's definitely not a game changer, but there's again that difference from you know, east to west and different parts of Canada, province to province. I'm really excited about taking all of these, you know, experiences I've had right back to London, England, and really implementing them to, you know, this is my home now. This is where I'm going to retire, and this is where I'm going to build my mega team. And I'm, you know, so I'm excited to have all of those little experiences that have brought me here today. And that's exactly why I'm back here. It's I was meant to be here, and I was meant to go through all of that and have all of that wonderful experience. And thank you to all the agents I've worked with and done deals with, because it's been incredible, and it's brought me right here where I'm so confident and feeling so great about starting this wonderful team in such a great place to live and work. So
Tracy, you are going to definitely make waves in the luxury market here, without a doubt. You have a lot of great connections. You have a lot of great relationships with realtors. And you know what? Another great exciting thing about you coming is that you not only bring knowledge about provinces, but you also bring knowledge and experience from working in different brokerages. You worked with Roy LePage, you worked with Remax, different teams, and now you're going to be working with EXP Realty, the fastest growing real estate brokerage in North America.
yes,
And that is amazing. It's incredible because of the fact you have the experience. We are Cloud Brokerage. And so we work very closely with our neighbor provinces, but also our neighbor countries, the US of A, but we're also in London, England, which you have experience working in.
yeah,
We're with Australia and New Zealand. And we're also so far, I can't think of it right now, but I think we're in New Zealand, United Kingdom, Australia, Canada, US. And yes, we're going to be going into the Latin countries very soon. So you're going to be able to use this wealth of experience that you have and connect very easily with other realtors across the country and in other countries. And, you know, it's just going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to be just so delighted in watching you build your empire. You build this mega team that you have dreamed about, that you have, you know, not only dreamed about, but you have designed, and you're ready to launch. So you're gonna, people, watch out for Tracy Cambates, because she's just gonna make some waves in the Ontario market, and she's going to add a lot of value to realtors. And she loves to really help other people, and she gets excited for what other people are doing, and she's an encourager, she's a builder, she's a successor, and success comes to her and anyone who comes alongside of her and works with her and on her team will find success as well, because it's all about attraction and creating that environment for growth and success.
Yeah.
And Tracy is spending a lot of time doing that. So
well, thank you. I thank you. And I have to say one last thing too about EXP as a brokerage. I have been, yes, Royal LePage, Remax, even Century 21 for a short amount of time right before I left Kelowna. And that was to follow a broker, to go to a broker. It was all about the broker at that point. But EXP is, I mean, I am not even fully in there yet, but I am just so beyond impressed with this brokerage, especially during COVID-19. We are extremely blessed that we have, nothing much has changed for us, you know, and as far as EXP goes. And, you know, when I looked at the model and was presented it to begin with, and I'm very analytical, it takes me a while to go through things with a fine tooth comb. There was not a single thing that I could find about this brokerage that was negative. And for, you know, for us to be going out and doing what we're already doing, which is selling houses and helping people with lifestyle changes and everything else, I love that part of my job. And it's not a job, my business, my career. For us to be going out and doing that and getting additional shares in this company every time we do that, that honestly was the thing that stuck out the most for me. And I thought, you know, there's not another brokerage that's going to do that for me. So for that reason alone, I cannot understand, you know, how it's just a no-brainer, not a no-brainer, right? You're getting money for doing what you're already doing. Now, above and beyond that, you talked about helping other agents, and this brokerage and company is all about that. And I am beyond excited, not only to be mentored, but to be a mentor as well, because I have enough years under my belt. So I am so excited about EXP. I can't say enough wonderful things about it. So
I know. Don't get us started talking about EXP,
I know.
because I'm the same way. You know, being a Royal LePager before coming to EXP, and Royal LePage is a wonderful company. For sure, they have great agents, and but EXP just offers, it's for agents. It's a brokerage that's for us, right? It is our business, and we get to build it. And we really
all about the agents.
It's all about the agents. So we really love to help one another and encourage each other and build each other up in our businesses. And it's all about collaboration and transparency, and you know, so many more things. And it is very, very exciting. So Tracy, looking forward to working with you, girl.
Oh, me too. Thank you for having me, and thanks for all of the wonderful, kind words.
Oh, absolutely. I just love learning about you and learning from you. And so we'll do that all the more. So this is Grace Simon with my Simon Says Let's Talk Real Estate. And we're talking more about just, you know, the basic real estate. We are going much further and deeper into it. So I hope that you will subscribe to my podcast channel and keep following, keep enjoying. And if you're interested in having an interview with me, I would love to talk to you and share with you and have you on the podcast further. And Tracy, definitely will be having you back again.
Thank you. I'd love to.
Topics. Thanks, Tracy. Have an awesome day.
You too. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.